Now, to be fair, and to be fair to Kimon, this isn't just about having the president, having the first lady, having our lawmakers talk about gun violence. Many of us believe that there's more to violence than just the gun issue, that we need to get at the root causes. We need to get at issues of poverty and education and ignorance and mental health. But keep in mind, just 3.5 weeks ago, a few days after Hadiya Pendleton had been killed in Chicago, there was nothing from the White House. There were a few news stories, and that was it. It took somebody like Kimon Freeman to send a message to his friends, to his colleagues, saying, hey, we need to make this a bigger issue. That, in turn, put it on our radar. And we featured Kimon with an interview segment, which in turn kept the ball going. And it spread the issue, and it got a lot of people aware of the petition. And I guarantee, because I know that there are people at the White House who sometimes will listen to the show or see our clips on YouTube, I guarantee there was somebody at the White House who works for President Obama who heard this segment, who heard this compelling interview with Kimon Freeman and said, of course, we should be talking about the root causes of violence. We should be talking about gun violence in this case. This was somebody who performed at our inauguration. And literally, and I'm convinced that there's somebody who heard this, who said, yeah, we should send Michelle Obama. And then because Michelle Obama goes to Hadiya Pendleton's funeral, she comes back and says to the president, you know what, let's bring these parents to the State of the Union. You should meet them. You should focus on them as part of the State of the Union. And all of a sudden, this goes in the period of less than 4 weeks from being sort of a random story out of Chicago that a lot of people weren't paying much attention to all of a sudden being on the grandest political stage of all, the President's State of the Union. Would it have happened had Kimon Freeman and the rest of us not spoken out? It might have. It might not have. And that's the message to all of you, to everybody who's thinking, what can I do in terms of taking action? How can I make a difference? Sometimes the difference you make may seem small. It may not seem like a big deal, but it's like that ripple, that pebble that you throw in the water. The ripples continue all the way to the other side of the pond, and you never know who's going to be watching, who's going to be affected by it. You never know when you reach out to your friends and your colleagues and you say, this issue is important, join my cause. Is there something you can do to help me? You never know who may be listening to them. And you may only be just 3 or 4 connections away from having somebody with immense power who not only talks about this issue, but is able to do something and is able to engage people who can help fix this issue. If Hadiya Pendleton, and her parents will tell you this, if her memory, if her legacy is that she was able to help somehow convince members of Congress, that her death convinced members of Congress to go ahead and allow a vote on gun control, to allow a vote on banning assault weapons, on getting rid of these high-capacity magazine clips, on doing basic background checks, if she contributed to getting Congress to do that, then she will have contributed to getting Congress to pass some of these measures, and her death will not have been in vain. And for everybody who wants to take action about Hadiya Pendleton, about violence, that's what it's all about. It's not about winning every battle or getting everything that we need. It's about taking actions and making a difference and moving the ball forward. And so hats off to Kimon Freeman, to everybody who was part of his Facebook page, who put that petition together, who thought, you know what, we need to make this a big issue. When somebody is killed a week after performing at the president's inauguration, this is a Rosa Parks-like moment, as Kimon Freeman suggested. And so hats off to Kimon and to everybody who was part of this. And folks, if you think that taking action can't make a difference, we can do this every week if you want. We could do segments every week about things that people are doing that make a difference, that trigger something, that causes a domino effect and changes the world. And you may think, well, Shuster, you're off on your sort of tangents again and you're being too optimistic. No, but trust me, everyone who's involved in that Hadiya Pendleton Facebook petition, they felt better because they were taking some action. They weren't sure if it was, nobody knew at the beginning if the president was going to mention this, if the White House would ever speak out about the violence. But the fact that they were taking action raised the possibility of something changing. And that's what Take Action is all about.